if you notice, I put out popcorn tubs for everyone. And at the break, Rachel and I were kind of talking about it. She said, is this what you were talking about with the refillable tubs? And the answer is yes, and the answer is no. Refillable on the day of your visit, okay? There are some theater circuits that have experimented with, doing the plastic tub and you can bring it all year, right? But why do you think we kind of insert this kind of a vessel into our program?
People will spend.
Yeah, you can charge a little bit more.
Yeah, and what happens? What's the overall effect? First of all, is it a higher quality product than a paper tub?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. What else does it do?
Raises the value.
It creates a perceived value that's higher, right? So the value proposition is better.
It
What else?
also gets you excited for Spider-Man.
It gets you excited about Spider-Man, or if you're a Spider-Man fan, okay, you get some attachment to the film by purchasing something like this, and you can take it home as a souvenir. So, like you're wearing that University of Memphis sweatshirt right now, right? You could have bought any sweatshirt, right? But you're kind of proud of the University of Memphis, I hope, and you like people knowing that you're a part of the University of Memphis. Same thing happens in stadiums and arenas. They have souvenir cups, and people will spend an extra $5 for the souvenir cup because it says the University of Tennessee on it, or it says the University of Alabama on it.
Those big Grizzlies cups.
Or the Grizzlies, the Memphis Grizzlies, absolutely, FedEx Forum. Yeah, yeah. So that's what you try and do. You try to look at ways to take particular low-cost items and increase what you can get for those. And so this is just one example, and that's why I brought this. All right, we stopped with the very last step on the personnel cycle, and it's termination. And I hate to say it, but termination is the opposite of hiring. And I said in the previous section, we were just talking about managers that fire people typically aren't the best managers because they don't know how to manage through employees, train them, understand them, and make them better. There are some times when you have to terminate some people, right? I mean, somebody gets caught stealing, somebody's doing drugs, somebody's rude to a customer. There are certain standards that you have to hold yourself and your company to. Sometimes people find another job. Sometimes people move. They leave the city. You still have to go through the termination process, and the termination process is the opposite of hiring. Termination is absolutely an administrative effort. In other words, you're going to reverse everything you did during the hiring process. So you're going to get your personnel control forms. You're going to find out a new address where you can mail their last check. You're going to make sure you have your W-4 information correct. Ashik and I were just talking on the break. Yes, ma'am.
Why is it called a W-4 now? Or is a W-2 and a W-4 different?
They're different.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. W-4 is basically the termination piece. W-2 is showing how much you earned in a year. Okay, so that's what you get from your employers, right? W-4 basically says you don't work here anymore. This is the last check you're going to get.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, so do you do your own taxes by chance?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents still.
If you ever do your own taxes, you will see they probably have 500 different forms for 500 different effects on revenue, cost, and so forth and so on. And I mean, I'm telling you, you can have forms this deep, capital gains tax and dependents and child care and all kinds of different forms. Mailing address, be sure that's correct. Make sure you get your uniforms back. Badges returned out. I never forget, when I worked for Midland Food Services, we gave everyone a green sweatshirt to wear during the cold games. So it was kind of a forest green shirt, and it said Midland across the front, kind of like your Nike shirt, pullover. And there was a picture in the paper of a guy robbing a bank, and he had on this Midland sweatshirt.
Robbing a bank?
Really?
Horrible
Yeah, it was on the
PR
front
right
page of the
there.
Commercial Appeal.
Oh, that's fantastic press.
Yeah,
Horrible PR.
yeah. What happened?
Uh,
We didn't get our uniforms back.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know where he got it.
Okay, he wouldn't
You
affiliate
could have
with
given
the
it to,
company.
Goodwill, and this guy picked it up at a Goodwill store and robbed a bank. So this is a perfect example of why you want to get your uniforms back. Name badges. It's all about security. Any tools issues. So for example, if you work in a kitchen and you offer, knives to the chef to do his job, or any of the other tools. Sometimes, in maintenance, you give them a tool belt where they'll have hammer.
That's only if you're terminated, right? Not if you like move on from your job?
That's correct.
Okay.
So if you get a promotion, that's not termination.
Or if you leave the company or something, because I have leftover jackets and stuff from old jobs that they've never asked back and never wanted back.
Yeah.
Just because I.
So that would be a bad thing.
Really?
Yeah, because now you can rob a bank and wear their jacket.
That's true. but-
Yeah.
Or give it
Yeah,
to
we
Taco
had-
Bell.
We had one of the family members with our company. Really wasn't involved in the management of the company. He was just like a cousin or something. Really liked being a part of the ownership family, so to speak. And he would always wear, a Malco shirt or a sweatshirt or, something like the managers would wear or the employees. And he would go into the Paradiso wearing this shirt that says Malco on it. He'd buy a Heineken and he'd walk around the lobby drinking a Heineken with his Malco shirt on.
No bueno.
No bueno, no bueno. Yeah. Okay, and then there are probably some other things that you could add to the termination checklist. So we're talking about staffing. Go. Sorry.
Do you guys do exit interviews?
Yes.
Very good. Exit interviews. Do we do exit interviews? Yes, you should. How many of you have ever left a job? Have you ever done an exit interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened? Tell us what happened.
Well, basically, I put in my notice,
Uh-huh.
and they were like, "Whoa, like, we need to sit down and talk about like what's going on. Like, is something wrong? How did you feel while working here? Like, is there anything you would like to leave us with, like a piece of advice or?"
Good. What company was that?
I worked at Paulette's.
Yeah, yeah. Paulette's is they're a pretty good company.
Mhm.
Y'all know who Paulette's is?
And they're
It's a
really-
restaurant downtown. It used to be near Bosco's, but that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to find out. It's a perfect time for you to find out if you have issues in your company that you don't know about. Like maybe one of the floor supervisors is inappropriately talking to you about dates and other things that make you feel uncomfortable. You can find out that the floor is always greasy and you just worried you're going to slip and fall. I mean, there are all kinds of little details. Could be Mary. I can't get here on time. I have to take the bus and it only gets here at 10 and I just can't do it. So there are all kinds of little things, but those sounded like good questions.
Yeah, he was like,
What could we do better?
Yeah, exactly. He said, "Is there any like advice you would like to leave behind with us, and is there anything like that you loved about working here or hated about working here,
Yeah.
or things like that?"
Yeah. And so exit interview, that was a good point. Exit interview is very, very important to do. If you get the opportunity, you don't always get the opportunity.
And I really appreciated it
Yeah.
too, like them being like, even though you're leaving us.
So
Like,
why
I
did you
didn't have-
leave? Can I ask that question?
Well,
Is it because it was downtown and you had a hard time getting back and forth?
no, I don't live far from downtown, but it was just my first like fine dining restaurant that I
Right.
worked in, and I was a hostess there for a long time, and like would train to be a server, and then it would never happen. Like they'd throw me a bone, so I'd stop asking to be promoted to be a server and finally get a training shift and never
Right.
be actually scheduled to serve.
Right,
Even though, but they wanted to keep me as a hostess because I was so good at that.
right.
And that was really frustrating. So
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't stay in this cycle.
Yeah. And so that's good. Did you tell them exactly that?
Oh yeah, they
Good.
knew.
They knew, yeah. You were, see, again, we talked about one of the components of what employees want these days. They want to know if they have upward mobility. People want to grow in their jobs. What would one of the solutions been for you? How could you have helped yourself get promoted? This is advice for everybody going forward.
Well, I was very vocal.
You were really, really good at what you did.
Yeah.
And they were worried that if you left that job, what would happen? They'd end up with a hostess that probably wasn't as
And that
good.
did happen a lot.
Yeah.
I would train somebody to take my place, and then the training would end, and they would never show back up.
Yeah.
So it was just a never-ending cycle
Yeah.
that I just had to.
So I just say this, as managers, if you're like Sam Service and you want to move up and become a district manager, for example, find somebody and train them, and find somebody that can do the job better than you can do it. That way they say, oh, well, we don't mind making Jessica a server now because we've got Rachel and she's really good at this. Does that make sense? Find your own replacement. And then if they don't promote you, do exactly what you did. I'm going to go someplace where I can do what I want to do, and that is.
Yeah, I was there
serve.
for like 2.5 years to try.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah, it was, because I loved working there, and that's what really made me fall in love with the hospitality industry too. because
Well, let me
it's
ask you
really
this question. Was there much turnover in the service staff?
No.
Yeah, see, that's kind of hard too. When the service staff doesn't change, it really doesn't open a position for somebody to backfill.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's also an issue sometimes too, because if you have like a set staff that's been with you for so long, that's awesome and that's great.
Right.
But when employers are hiring more people, but then the people that they hired, they're not, you know, they're not able to work as much as they might want to because of that.
The
So
staff is
some-
full.
Right, so it's like, you know, that's awesome to have a really loyal staff, but if that's the case, you know.
I can't tell you, early in my career, specifically when I was at Liberty Land, we paid minimum wage, and I'm gonna go back and say it was $4 an hour. So I'm going way back in time, right? And I had employees quit all the time. They'd go to work for McDonald's for $7 an hour. But you know what McDonald's did? They overhired. And so they'd pay you $7 an hour, but you'd work 10 hours a week. You made $70.
You get less hours.
Yeah, you work for me, I'm gonna give you 40 hours a week, maybe even some overtime every once in a while, and you'd be making, you know, $160 to $200 a week working for me, but at McDonald's you got 70. So you have to ask yourself, what's more important? The dollar amount or the total bank deposit? You know, the hourly wage. All right, so we talked about staffing, now we're gonna talk about leadership. Leadership is the influence or the art and or process of influencing people so that they will strive willingly towards the achievement of the group goal. There's that word again, goal. We have a group goal. So how do we get people to strive willingly to a group goal? For example, I want to sell 1,000 of these popcorn tubs when Spider-Man comes out. I'm the leader. How are we going to do it?
You can make a competition out of it, set a prize, set a goal.
So the goal is to sell 1,000, but I can't sell 1,000 by myself. I need you guys to help me, right? So to your point, what if I offered an incentive? If you sell 10 of these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a $10 gift card to Starbucks.
The most important thing with providing incentives though is to make sure that that incentive is followed through.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
they're-
I've had experience with that before, so.
Yeah, people offer you an incentive and then they don't pay you.
And I mean,
So,
that's fine because it's a learning process, but at the
That's
same
not
time,
fine.
it's like,
It is not fine.
don't
It is
promise.
not fine. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you're a leader and you tell people, if you march to the top of this mountain, we're going to have water and a picnic. When we get to the top, there better be some water and there better be a picnic, or they're not going to go to the top of the mountain again. And the same thing with this. You can do that one time and then people won't sell. One of the other things you might want to do if you're a good leader is to tell people the value of this product. So, for example, I passed out Mrs. Fields cookies today. All right? And what I want you to do before the end of class is to tell me the pluses and minuses of selling Mrs. Field cookies in the concession stand. Just like that. Rachel, throw me that cookie.
Of course.
Well, I'm not a very good catcher.
I'm not a very good thrower, so here we are.
So we didn't complete the objective, right? I'm only doing this for the online people so they can see the cookie.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So,
My cookie bag.
They're the best
Miss-
cookies ever.
Ms. Fields has been in the cookie business much like Auntie Anne's pretzels, and they make fresh baked cookies in malls and stores and sell the cookies. And they want to expand their channel of business. And so they're trying to figure out how to grow their business. And they're talking about putting these right now in movie theaters and stadiums and arenas and so forth and so on. So,
Specifically just in Memphis or like
all
everywhere?
international.
Because I think she's from here, weirdly.
Well, she married Mike Rose, who was the chairman of the board for Holiday Inns. So you have a husband and a wife. She's actually from California.
Okay.
That's where the company started. Don't ask me how they met, don't ask me what they're doing. I just know that they're married, okay? That's her Memphis connection. They're very connected to the University of Memphis, okay? Anyway, pluses and minuses. What is the leader gonna do with this cookie? Should we sell this cookie?
Yes.
In that exact packaging,
Yes.
like one single cookie.
Right.
Well, see,
So
that's
Kevin
my
said
comment.
yes right away. So since Kevin said yes, let's ask Kevin why. Why should we
Because
sell
they're
this?
so good, especially if you put them in the
High
microwave.
quality.
For like 5 to 7 seconds.
What'd you say, put them in the microwave for how long?
Got it on a
5 to 7
schedule.
seconds.
5 to 7 seconds.
Perfect.
Okay.
Six.
And then you put a glass of milk with it, okay? And you're good to go.
Beautiful.
Here, I'm gonna give you the cookie back, Rachel.
Oh, much better.
Good job.
It's
Yeah,
much better.
Much better.
Sounds like a
than the
frisbee.
first.
Yeah. it should've
See,
known. It just-
we're learning, right?
Yeah.
We practiced the first time, it didn't work out so good. The second time,
We
it was much
learned
better,
and
yeah.
grew.
All right, so let's talk again about the cookies. What's the positive piece? Very good quality, high quality. Kevin says, excellent. What else? Why else would you
It's
sell it?
attractive looking.
You like the packaging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
They're soft, and that's important.
How do you know they're soft?
Because I can touch it and I
Okay,
can
you
feel
can
it that
feel
it's
it,
soft.
okay.
And
So
it's
you like
feels
soft
good.
baked cookies, what else? So far you're hitting on a lot of good points.
How much would you sell an individual cookie for?
Yeah, that's what we gotta ask.
Yeah.
It seems like $3.
Okay, but everything in the concession stand right now, like the candy is $4.25.
See, I would not pay $4.25.
But it's a
That's
name,
my point, so,
but it's a name brand thing, so you'd probably pay for the price or pay for the brand.
but let's just say that we go to a retail outlet like Kroger's or Walgreens and we see that cookie at
Soft
Walgreens.
baked chicks on
And it's $1.29.
Yeah.
Well,
there
then you should
go.
just buy it there.
Huh?
Yep.
Well, then you should just buy it at Walgreens if you want to buy it there. But if you're at the movie theater, you're there to enjoy the movie, so you want to pay for a cookie there.
Yeah,
I'm not
so you have a captive audience. I like the way you think,
Yeah.
because you're thinking, that's good. So he's saying basically, if you really like the cookie and you're at the movies, just pay the $4.25.
Well, I mean, that's the gist of the whole concession,
Yeah.
you know, like,
It's a captive audience.
they're there, they got the concession, even though it's 15,000 times more expensive than what it is if you went and
It's
got it
not
at the gas
15,000
station.
times more expensive.
15,000. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but
But it
There-
is,
I'm actually I'm gonna prove you wrong in this class, okay? Am I not? You're gonna save this, okay, and I'm gonna bring a large tub one day. And what I'm gonna ask you to do, as a matter of fact, this is gonna be a project for next week. Thank you for bringing this up. I normally do it at the end of the semester, but we're gonna do it next week. Everybody's going to bring one package of popcorn, like you would buy at Kroger's, okay? Or Starbucks. For example, I know at Starbucks, they sell the organic popcorn in the little 2 or 3 ounce bag, and it costs $1.65 plus tax, so it's $1.73. $1.73. How many of those does it take to fill a popcorn tub at Malcolm?
probably a lot.
2 or 3. Maybe
2 or
not.
3?
Well,
I'd say-
are they
I'd
like
say
the
probably-
standard popcorn bag size, or are they like, what is it?
It doesn't matter, I'm gonna share some experiences with you. So this is the bag that you would pay
Yeah.
at Starbucks, okay? Or the price is basically the same at Kroger's, or even
Say
more.
like 6 or 7 of them.
How many? How many does it take?
1 to 10?
What?
12. It takes
Fill
12.
like this up?
Yes. So take 12 times $1.75. How much does it cost?
That must be a tiny thing of popcorn.
It doesn't matter. You just told me that our popcorn is 15,000
No,
times
I
too
meant like
expensive.
candy. I didn't mean popcorn.
Okay.
But the candy.
Okay.
But I would have never guessed that it took, that's a lot.
See, that's the point. My point here is, as ownership, as leaders, we have to be able to translate the actual information to the customer. So Why is it $7? Because
If
it's a large
12
portion.
bags of popcorn.
If you sat, literally, if you sat in your home for 2.5 hours and ate popcorn, okay?
Oh,
If you go to Walmart and you buy their big bags and they're like $5, it takes 2.5 of those. So it's basically $12 for a popcorn or $13 for a popcorn
this amount.
to fill this bucket.
Yeah.
So why do we give you this much popcorn at the theater?
Because you're gonna sit there and snack on it
For 2.5 hours, that's right. And if you were sitting at your house, you'd probably go to the refrigerator, or you would go get some snacks or some cookies or whatever, and probably spend more than $7 on popcorn. Does that make sense? So one of our faults in this industry, and it's just not movie theaters. You know, you can go to the FedEx Forum. You can go to a lot of different places, and one of the things that, to your point, candy, for example, is very comparable, isn't it? You can sit there and you can look at a bag of candy at Kroger's or Walgreens, and it's $2.89, right? And the same bag at Malco is $4.25. And you say, they're gouging me, right? Do you pay tax at Walgreens? How much do you pay? 10%, right? So it's not $2.89, it ends up being like $3.29, right? And do you have to go get it yourself? Yes, yeah. And so there are some convenience factors, and in our industry, by and large, it's changing. You don't pay sales tax, it's already incorporated. So if you take the sales tax out of the $4.25, you're really only paying $3.85. That makes sense? $3.90. So $3.90 versus $3.25 is not 15,000 times more. Okay? And you were right, you overemphasized it, but what you're going to see in the coming notes is perception is reality. Write that down. Perception is reality. Tom Peters said this, and it couldn't be any more true. How many times have you stood in line and thought you waited 15 minutes and service was slow? And it was really only 3 or 4 minutes. Was the service adequate? If you perceived it to be slow, it is what?
It's
Slow. Yep. Okay. Leadership.
I'm sorry, is the only thing we're doing is bringing a bag of popcorn? for
All
next
you,
Friday?
if everybody brings one bag of popcorn, I'll bring the rest.
Just checking.
I want you to see, I want you to believe. Okay? I don't want you to just trust me. I want to prove it to you.
Just any popcorn.
Any popcorn, and bring the receipt with you. Because we're going to add up all the receipts.
From Kroger.
I can't just bring what I already have in my cabinet?
Do you have a little bag of popcorn already?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about microwave. I'm just talking about the pre-pop popcorn, like chips.
Like Smart Pop or
Smart
whatever?
Pop.
Okay, gotcha.
Ooh.
Yes, I think I do actually.
It's not
Yeah,
like
I've got some of that too.
You don't have to go buy it. Just bring it. I'll know what the cost is.
All right.
Okay? I just want to prove my point, because we've done it nearly every semester. All right, so what are the qualities of a good leader? First of all, good leaders know and understand motivational theories, when and how to use them. 2, good leaders have a management style that inspires followers. So that's what we've worked on up to this point, is you guys understanding what your strengths are, and how can I get people to do what we need them to do willingly. I passed out a couple of these sheets, and they're blank. But I want to talk about personal accountability. And good leaders are accountable. Let's see. John Miller wrote a book called The Question Behind the Question. And what he basically said is, every time you ask a question, you should know the answer before you ask it. All good attorneys do this. They'll teach you that in law school. Do not ask a question of a client or someone under deposition unless you already know the answer, because you don't want any surprises. Okay? The very best questions that you're going to ask your employees, your counterparts, your supervisors, okay, should not begin with why. Why creates victim. I am the victim thinking. Why are you treating me this way? Why am I not getting any more hours? Why did I not get a raise? Why did I not get promoted to being a server? Okay? Or when? When are you going to give me that raise? When are you going to give me more hours? Or who? Who is blame focused? So when you ask why, it sounds like you're whining. When you ask when, it's kind of like you keep putting me off. You're procrastinating. Why do I have to go through all this change? When is somebody going to train me? As opposed to, ask yourself this: what can I do to adapt to the changing world and continue to develop myself? As opposed to, I need an ABC card and you won't pay for it. This book right here is really, really good about that. It's a little red book of selling. Not very expensive. It's a really, really good book for those that really have their own personal responsibility and leadership skills. And in there it gives an example of an employee who needs a laptop for his job, and his boss won't pay for it. So he whines about it. I can't do my job because I don't have a laptop. I can't do this, I can't do that, I need a laptop. The company won't pay for a laptop. If you need a laptop, go buy the laptop, execute your skills, prove to the boss you need a laptop, and then they'll pay you for the laptop. That make sense? That's one of the. When will they do their job right? Why don't they communicate better? You're going to hear all of these stories when you get into management. Specifically if you work in a corporation where there are lots of different outlets. So for example, if you work for Sports Service, they probably have 15 different stadiums, airports, catering operations, and they're always sending down information about changing programs or pricing or who to buy, goods and services from. And people are, I remember this, why are they doing that again? As opposed to, okay, how can I serve the home office better and help them reach their goals? They're probably changing service providers because, it's maybe a better service, maybe it's more update, the technology is better, and it costs less. And I can sit here and whine about it and complain, or I can say, how can I make this easier? Both on me and them, and get away from the conflict and create some harmony. Why don't we get better tools to do our job? Or when are we going to get better internet connection or better IT services? The question is, what can I do right now to achieve the success that I aspire to with the resources I already have? Those are the right kind of questions. So how and what can I do is a lot better than will they or won't they. This sheet right here, again, for you to stick in your book and keep with you. It's about personal accountability again. And the actions of a high-quality leader are the instant by instant disciplines of your thinking. By making the correct choices and the applications of those thoughts, you will ascend to a higher level. You see, you exercise personal accountability by improving the choices at the time of discretion. When you make good choices at the right time, you're going to prove to be a good leader. Good leaders are good models. And I talk about training all the time. But it's interesting how many employees will follow you because you're the boss, not knowing why they're doing it, just because you tell them to do it. And they start to model your behavior. For example, we have a rule: no food and beverage is to be consumed inside the work area in concessions. A district manager loved coffee, carried a coffee cup with him everywhere he went. He'd go behind the concession stand, set his coffee cup down, do some popcorn, do some talking, pick up his coffee, drink it, and leave. What was that message to the employees?
It's okay to have.
So
Yeah.
when I go in that location and I see soda cups or sandwiches, where's that coming from? They're modeling the district manager, right? We got to set the right example. I tell a story that, my son worked for Malco in the early days, and when he worked for Malco in the early days, we really tried not to talk about his job, okay? Because I didn't want to get into their business. I want him to do his work at that particular location. But one day we were talking, and he said, I don't understand why the manager tells me to come to work and schedules me at 11:30 when he comes to work every day at 11:45. I said, what? He said, every day, 11:45. Every week, I'm scheduled Monday through Friday, 11:30. Make sense? What kind of attitude do you set up for an employee? You expect me to be here on time, you don't have to be on time. Tell me exactly where he parks his car. Tell me exactly what kind of car he drives. Tell me exactly what tie he wore each day of the week. Tell me what brand of cigarettes he smoked. What does that tell you? People watch their bosses like nobody's business. I'll bet you right now if we went around the room, I could ask you something about Hog and Hominy and you could tell me about your boss.
Mhm.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. We actually had just an example of that, a problem like that at my job, where we made a new rule where you couldn't smoke cigarettes on the clock. It doesn't matter who you are, we're not doing that, you're not having smoke breaks, you know, not everyone gets a break, it's not
Right.
fair that smokers get a break and people
Right.
that don't smoke don't get a break. And that lasted for about 24 hours until one of my managers who smoked cigarettes came and worked his or her shift, and they couldn't say anything because our boss was outside smoking on the clock.
Right. Yep, exactly. So, modeling becomes the most powerful form of training. It's funny, in the theater industry, we have this Friday nights kind of effect. On Friday nights is teenager night. Teenagers take over the theater, they run around like crazy, and so managers over the year or years have this tendency to not like teenagers. And before the teenager says anything, there's already this
I feel that.
preconceived notion.
I totally feel that.
Yeah, preconceived notion, I don't like these people, right? What do you think the cashiers do in concessions?
They don't like when we move in.
Before they even walk up there. They might have a $20 bill in their hand. What do you want? Not,
Yeah.
hi, welcome to Malco Theaters, would you like a combo? Or, we've got a special on Maltesers. Nope. It's a teenager, all they're here to do is start trouble. Okay? So, you have to remember, one, as a manager and a leader, you want to emphasize cooperation. We're all going to do this together. Okay? Your questions should begin with what or how, not why am I doing this, when are you going to help me, or who's going to take care of this. You want to emphasize responsibility. Remember we had the organizational chart? Why do we have the organizational chart? It emphasized whose responsibility it is for each particular task. All right. And then remember that you, the manager, you, the leader, are the one that's taking the action. The actions are a result of your particular thought. What am I thinking? What do I want to achieve today? So I like to ask this question. See, the question, we often send messages to others that we want to hear back, right? For example, do you like my teaching style?
Yes.
What did I want to hear?
Yes.
Yes.
Affirmation. I wanted to hear yes, right? My wife says, do I look fat in this dress?
No.
Always no, no matter what.
If you're gonna live through
Answer is
tomorrow, you say
always
no.
no.
See, that's interesting that you say that, no. That's an easy answer, right?
Yes.
No. Why did she ask the question?
Because she wants to hear no. She looks good.
Why did she ask the question?
She wants a compliment.
Because
wants to
she-
feel good.
She wants to feel reassured.
Because she looks fat in the dress. I mean, and I'm just being honest.
That's exactly right. I'm not saying that she feels she looks fat in the dress, but I'm going to say she doesn't feel comfortable
She
in the
doesn't feel
dress.
good in it.
Okay? So she wants someone else to tell her 5 reasons why she should feel comfortable in the dress. How do I answer that question? No, I answer, honey,
Great.
you are beautiful to me regardless of what you wear.
There you go.
I don't know.
Now, is that a BS answer?
Yeah.
Yep,
Does she ask me if she looks fat in that dress anymore?
probably not.
No, because she knows that I'm not going to go there,
Mm-mm.
okay? And
That's when
whether
you
she
need to
looks
sound your lady.
right or not right in the dress, I don't care, okay? I want her to feel comfortable. So maybe another response would be, well, sweetie, do you feel comfortable in that dress?
There you go, I am.
Yeah.
That's the best answer.
Send it back.
That's way better than no.
Yeah,
You feel good?
yeah. How do you feel about it?
But even then, she'd be like, well, I mean,
Depending on
I
your.
don't know.
I
I'm
know.
asking
How are you, I'm asking you how I look.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so a lot of times we send messages to people already knowing the answer and asking or expecting the result back that we want to hear. People that say, do I look fat in this dress? They want to hear, no, you look beautiful. That make sense? Okay. In the book on page 60, there is kind of a little chart, and I want to talk about that. It's not in the PowerPoint. But really, good leaders have 4 what I call pillars that they can stand behind. 1, they have good people that work for them. 2, they have education and preparation. They know the job, they know the task, they know what has to be accomplished. 3, they have determination. They're not going to quit because they come up against some obstacles. Nothing's ever really easy. We're all challenged. In your particular case, I admire you for working there for 2.5 years after you told them several times, I'd like to have this job. You had determination. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stay here until it became apparent that that wasn't going to happen. And the last thing, the other pillar is character. Great leaders have great character. And in there, this is where it says every employee wants to know those 3 questions. Do you know me? Do you care about me? Can you make me better? Now in leadership, there are 2 segments. The first segment of leadership are the core leadership skills. The first one is strategy. Good leaders know what their strategy is, and they start to develop what we talked about earlier, tactics, the action steps to get there. Hence, the second piece of that is action. They don't sit around and wait for people to tell them what to do. They're proactive. They know what the objective is. They write a plan, okay, and then they take action steps towards it. And then finally, they achieve results. Good leaders know what the results are. We talked about Vince Lombardi, and winning is everything. It's the only thing. It's about focus and looking at the results. Now, the second segment are the adaptive skills. Typically, the core leadership skills are, for all intents and purposes, that's what you can learn, that's what you can achieve. These are the things that are, about your capabilities and abilities. The adaptive leadership skills are much more difficult to accomplish. And it talks about emotional intelligence. Are you emotionally prepared to lead people? Organizational justice. Good leaders understand that there has to be some fairness. For example, smoking. The boss is going to smoke. Why can't I smoke? Character, and then development. Those are the 4 components of adaptive leadership skills. Emotional intelligence is really the essential part, or the essential ingredient to good leadership. And again, if you remember, we started way back in the first class. I asked you what your strengths were. You remember that? I said write down 3 strengths. It's self-awareness. It's knowing who you are and what you're good at. It's about self-regulation. It's about knowing self-control. So, for example, if you have to run a fitness center, do you want somebody that's overweight and smoking running the fitness center? Probably not. You need somebody that's a little more disciplined. Somebody that knows that the reason they're here is to be the model for all their customers. Then there's motivation. How do you get people motivated? We're going to talk about that next. Empathy. Do you understand? Can you be compassionate with the people around you and understand what their challenges are and help them? And then finally, social skills. Can you get out and network with your peers, superiors? That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be best friends with the people that are your subordinates. Take everybody out for a drink on Friday night. But it might be important to recognize somebody on their birthday, right? And you have to be careful. I have to be careful about this at work, over at Malco. Ashik was an intern, so he knows the ladies that work up there. And it might be your birthday, and I remember when I bring you a birthday card and say, I hope you have a great day. And then Rachel's birthday is next week, and I don't give her a card, just by accident. Okay? I didn't know. How does Rachel feel? Yeah, so you gotta be careful about how you interact and network. What's that? I brought you a card, but you're out smoking. Kidding. All right. All right. So if we're going to team for success, a team is a small number of people committed to the common purpose. You know, if we want to have the very best restaurant or the very best hotel, can you do it by yourself? You need a great assistant manager, somebody that can, you know, step in when you're not there. What else do you need? If I'm running a hotel, you guys are in hospitality, I'm running a hotel, what do I need?
Strong employees.
Great employees, but what kind of, I need a front office staff, right?
Front office, housekeeping, food and
I need
beverage.
bellmen to open the door and say, welcome
Kitchen
to our lovely hotel and thank you for coming to the Majestic. May I help you with those bags? Yeah, a greeter, right? And then what do we have? We got someone on the front desk, and what else do we have to have? We have to have excellence in every piece of the hospitality, in the restaurants, room service, you know, housekeeping, all of those things. It becomes a team, and each team has a little team underneath it. Now, nothing is more powerful than a motivated team that has all its energy focused on reaching the team goals. So it's very possible that we have a stadium, okay? And this happens quite frequently, where you have an outstanding team that handles all the skyboxes. And the catering is just marvelous. It's just outstanding. And the service is great. And all the service attendants up there are in tuxedos and white gloves. And yet downstairs, you don't have any vendors that are working. No one's taking stuff out to the stands to see if people want cotton candy or if they want sodas or if they want beer. And so you don't have cohesiveness. So nothing is more powerful than a motivated team that has its energy focused on reaching the team's goals. And the team goal might be excellent service. So what holds a team together? First of all, a defined mission. So what is the mission statement? What should the mission statement be in recreational food service? Sharon? What should the mission be?
To be a team together.
To work together, yes? Marley?
Just to be, it needs to include like how you're delivering fast but efficient service.
Excellent. You're getting there.
It's so hard to think of mission statements though sometimes because
It
it's
is.
to highlight everything.
Yes.
So
So what would be the key component?
Your goals and values.
We work, yeah, yes,
entertaining or
that's it. Why do people go to the Grizzlies game?
to watch.
Do
the
they go
film.
for a $12 beer?
No,
They go to an experience.
The entertainment experience.
that's the word I was
A mission for food service might be, we will enhance the entertainment experience with fast service, convenient foods, at a reasonable price that has a strong value proposition. How is that? We just wrote a mission statement, you know, and to your point, it's kind of hard to, but if you think about the key components, we are here to enhance the entertainment experience. People don't go to the zoo for snow cones. They go to the zoo for animals, exhibits. People don't go to amusement parks just for the cotton candy. They go because they want the thrill rides and they want to play the games and so forth and so on. So, you define the mission. The loyalty of each team member. We want everybody to buy into this mission. We need happy, friendly people in hospitality. That's what our title is, hospitable. We want to welcome people. Come, stay, play. Let us entertain you. You know, the popcorn tubs. This is part of the entertainment experience. I could get a paper bag. I could get a paper tub that just says popcorn on it. That'd be fine, right? But how can I enhance the experience? A genuine interest in each employee or member. Remember what I said. Do you know me? Do you care about me? Can you make me better? Open lines of communication. It's one thing to have communication. It's another thing to react to that. And then productive leadership. You need someone that can see, has a vision, and can see what the end result should look like. So right now I'm going to do this. I'm going to invite each one of you to a function Sunday. What's Sunday? Super Bowl. How many people are working Sunday? Okay. Sunday, we are going to put on a Super Bowl function for the owners of the company at the Paradiso in auditorium number 16. The reason I tell you this is because it's not like any normal Super Bowl. And when we get to a Super Bowl function or a movie function, when we get to event planning, I'm going to give you some strategies and tactics. The reason I bring this up is because right now I have a vision, okay, of what that function should look like when the owners and their friends walk into that room. So I'm inviting each of you, okay, if you want to come, let me know. I'll put your name on the guest list, and I want you to come see what recreational food service can be.
What time is it at?
The gates will open at 4 o'clock. Well, between 4 and 4:30. We're telling the guests 4:30, but if you come, you want to get there a little bit early so you can see the food service and what we're doing. And I think you're going to be amazed if you come. I think you're going to be astounded. I thought Malco Theater sold popcorn, candy, and sodas.
You playing the game on like the big screen or?
40 by 60 screen. 40 foot by 60 foot screen. Ice carvings, lobster rolls, fried clams. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
White chocolate blueberry cheesecake.
Bam.
And it's for like Malco representatives, like that's what.
The
they're
owners
paying them for?
invite all their friends to come watch the game on the big screen.
Oh, okay.
So much like some people would go to Buffalo Wild Wings,
That's fun.
they have a party. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. So you should come and see what it looks like. Anyway, productive leadership. A productive leader has a vision, has a goal, has an objective, and then marches and helps everybody else. So I already have a team of people who typically don't do any of this. Going to start to make lobster rolls, you know, shrimp cocktail, cheesecake, Philly cheese steaks.
You're making me so hungry.
I know.
Yeah.
I think
My
I'm
mouth
call
is
that on
watering.
Sunday.
And then you have to have skills of management to put together a good team. All right, so now we're going to talk about motivation by POA, and we're going to review. So what does the P stand for?
Planning.
Right. What are the two basic motivating factors for all people? Desire and fear. Two basic motivating factors for all people, desire and fear. You might want to remember that. It might be on the test. What is desire? Desire is to do something because you want to. You can determine whether or not you want to do it. So for example, when I talked about the Super Bowl party, right? How many people were motivated and wanted to come? At first.
If I didn't have work, I would totally come.
Now that you heard what the menu is and 40 by 60 screen and high definition, did I mention there's free beer and wine?
I mean, it's.
That was another motivating factor, right?
Yes.
So now you have a desire, as opposed to the fear, okay? If I said each one of you are required to come and help because it's part of the class,
Okay.
okay? I just made it mandated you have to come and work.
I'd be mad.
You
Work
would?
after I get off work. Mad on Super Bowl Sunday?
Yeah. So desire is to do something willingly. Fear is to do something where you fear the repercussions
No.
or the punishment. In POA, a good manager knows and demonstrates both. So, for example, I need you guys to sell as many of these as you can. And if you don't sell at least 10, I'm going to make you work every Saturday for the rest of the year. Is that fear or desire?
Fear.
Okay. I need everybody to sell at least 10 of these, and if you sell 10 of these, I'll give you a $10 gift card to Starbucks.
Desire.
Desire. So there's positive motivation and there's negative motivation. Positive motivation, negative motivation. So here's how motivation works. It starts with a need. So if you wanted, if I said, if you'll sell these, you sell 10 of them, and you get a $10 gift card, you'd be more motivated if you go to Starbucks and you need a $10 gift card. If you don't drink coffee, would you be motivated? No. So here's the deal. Whoever has the highest sales in large drinks for the month of March is going to get a new driver, a new golf club.
But that doesn't apply to everyone. Not
That's my
everyone.
point.
Yeah.
So do you want to win the driver?
No.
Do you want to win the driver?
No.
You want to, Sharon, you want to win the driver?
I don't know what is.
Yeah, so you don't even know what it is, so you're not going to be motivated.
Yeah.
Marley,
Same,
Yeah.
don't really care.
right.
Does your dad play golf?
Mhm.
You might want to do it for your dad. Now, what if I said this? Whoever sells the most large drinks in February gets a Kate Spade purse. You in?
Yep.
You in? No? Are you in? Yeah? You in? You in?
Why not?
Why
Heck
not?
yeah, Kevin's in.
Kate Spade.
Kate Spade? Come on.
Should have
Rocking
passed with
it.
my cake fade.
Yeah. Make a good Christmas present for your girlfriend, right? Yeah. Okay. Needs.
Yeah.
Needs give rise to wants. Wants cause tension. Tension gives rise to action. Action is one of our key components in POA. That results in satisfaction. So I kind of put this in perspective, and I tell the story about my son when he turned 16. What does everybody want when they turn 16?
The car.
Car. Yeah, so he goes to St. Benedict High School and he says, Dad, I need a car. I said, really? He said, well, yeah, you and Mom take me to school, Mom has to pick me up, so forth and so on, and it would really be a relief for you guys, you know, and I could just take myself and then you could do your thing and Mom could do her thing. I said, really? Yeah. Did he need a car?
No. He had transportation.
He needed transportation.
No, he already had transportation. He had you guys.
Yeah, but he needed transportation to and from school, to and from his job,
Oh, yeah.
okay, or whatever. He wanted a car. So I told him, I said, look, what you need is transportation. I'm gonna get you a bicycle and you can ride to school and then you can ride home. And how'd that go over?
Horrible.
Not so much, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
very dad answer right there.
he wanted a car. He needed transportation. He wanted a car. It created tension. He wanted to be a cool dude and, you know, drive to school. That gave results or a rise to action. So what did he do? He made a deal. He went to work. He got a job. He said, look, Dad, if you'll help me with the car, I'll pay for the gas, I'll pay for the maintenance, I'll pay for the insurance. I just don't have a lump sum of money. Okay? So, what did that end up in?
Car.
He got a used car. What we ended up doing is giving him his mother's car, and Mama got a new car. So everybody was happy, right? Yeah. Motivation. There are traditional motivators, and then there are new age motivators. Back in the day, I told you back in the 60s, the 50s, money was the motivator. New age, people want responsibility. They want to be able to grow. Traditional motivators, scheduling. I'd like to get off every day at 5 o'clock. I don't want to work nights. I want Saturdays and Sundays off. Scheduling. New age motivators, benefits. So for example, a lot of companies now are offering fitness centers. If they don't put a fitness center in the actual building, they will pay for whatever it is to belong to LA Fitness. That's a benefit, right?
What company
It's
is
not-
that? Someone-
Yeah, I need to go work for
Yeah, what company is that?
Well, that's better for their health insurance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Keeps their health insurance down.
That pays nice.
Traditional motivators were responsibilities, number 3. Now, new motivators, time off. They want to spend time with their family. Can I work from my home? Most of the work I do is via the internet anyway. But above all, communication shows respect, and it's evidenced by the listening and encouragement of both parties. So you teach why employees want the big picture. Now, I want to be careful a little bit about motivation. Can I motivate you, Kevin, to do things? You think so? You think I can motivate him? You think I can motivate him? You said no, Marley, because you know that I keep asking a question. You know that must
I
be
mean,
the wrong
you're
answer.
teaching me to think different
Good.
than what the actual question is.
Right.
So, I mean, you could want to motivate him, however, you know,
You're right on target.
your lives are so different, and as his professor, you know, you would hope that you could, but in reality, you really can't, because he,
What I can do is stimulate him.
right.
What researchers have figured out is there's a difference between motivation and stimulation. In each one of you, in your DNA, in your strand of DNA, you have a different length of motivation. So for example, I'm easily motivated. So I have this big long strand of motivation in my DNA. There are some people, you could say, I'll give you $100 if you'll sell 2 of these, and they still don't care. That make sense? So I'm trying to stimulate you guys, get you excited, okay, about this particular class, this presence of thinking outside the box, or whatever, okay? So you can stimulate employees, you can stimulate team members, you can get them excited. For example, you have the Eagles playing the Patriots this weekend, right? The Super Bowl. You think they're motivated to play?
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles definitely are, because
They've
they haven't
gotta
been to
be.
the Super Bowl in like 13 years or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the stimulation?
They're gonna get that Lombardi trophy.
That's
They're gonna
exactly
get to
right.
go to
They're going to
Disney
be
World.
they're going to be recognized as the best NFL team in 2017.
Disney World?
Mhm.
Isn't that a thing if they win the Super Bowl? I'm
Don't
going
they go to
Disney
Disney?
World.
Well, it's the most valuable player in the game gets to go to Disney World.
Oh, that's lame.
Now there's a little bit more
motivation
stimulation
to play.
involved, because every time they win a playoff game, there's a pot of money they get.
Yeah.
So for example, if they win the first game, they get $50,000. If they win
So
the
they
second
make
game,
even
they
more
get
money than
$75,000. If they win the third game, they get like $100,000. If they win the Super Bowl, it's $150,000 or something like that.
And it's
So they're
their
getting
job.
more and more money
Uh,
just for doing their job well.
in the
So
wrong
that's
business.
some motivation. But the key is
You also
they
have
want to
like
be recognized.
concussions and,
Again,
like,
remember,
major injuries.
we're talking about the new age, okay? It's not really about the money, the scheduling, or the responsibilities. It's more about, okay, achievement. Getting that Super Bowl trophy, getting the ring, being known as the best of 2017. Responsibility gives employees some control over the outcome of what they do. All right, let's take a break. You get 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about